Hey Bills Mafia, what's going on? Fernando Schmude here. I'm your host. That's your leading the charge. And today I'm going to talk about Bills Patriots matchup. I'm going to talk about trade possibilities and also the state of this Bills roster, especially the Bills offense with Ken Dorsey at the helm. So I'm going to talk all these hot topics and feel free to participate and to join me to talk Bills. You know, the video chart is always wide open, so you can participate and bring on your takes and be part of the chat. Let's interact and let's have some talk about our beloved Bills. So, Bills and Patriots matchup ahead. Before I go ahead and talk about the Bills, I just want to apologize for my voice today. I'm having some struggles with a sore throat, getting better, but still not 100%. So uh, I'm sorry for today's issues with my voice. And anyway, I'll be trying to keep it going and to do my job as always. And in this Bills Patriots preview, uh, I want to start talking about obviously the state of the Patriots team because they haven't been the same, right? And we know they have struggled a lot this season. Um, there were a lot of hope for the Patriots uh, in the beginning of the season, maybe with an opportunity for 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 rebound for Mac Jones and with a new offensive coordinator back, right? Um, not no Matt Patricia anymore, and so they had a lot of hope for a better season, but it hasn't happened so far. The offense continues to be awful. Mac Jones plays worse every season, and and it even Bill Belichick doesn't seem so scary anymore, and his defense is also struggling, and that's a huge opportunity for a rebound game for the Bills. We've seen the offense struggling for 2 weeks now. Truth be said, it's been until the start of the second half against the Giants, because despite the low score against the Giants, just 14 points overall, um, that Bills offense had 3 drives against the Giants in the second half and could score on touchdowns on 2 of them, right? So, and in the other one, they could drive down the field, kick a field goal. Unfortunately, Bass missed the field goal, but they did their job. They drove down the field. They were in position to score again. So in the second half, we could see way better offense from the Bills against the Giants. But obviously, overall, it wasn't the ideal game by the Bills. And this game against the Patriots obviously is a huge opportunity to rebound, or huge opportunity to get back on track. And I believe that's the expectation for most of the Bills Mafia, right? I also believe it's a great opportunity to Josh Allen, especially the passing offense, to get back on track. But I can see some hurdles ahead with this Patriots defense. Why so? Because this defense has been really, really good stopping the run. And I really believe the start of all the difficulties for this Bills offense, they always start with not being able to run the ball properly, not being able to run the ball well enough or consistent enough. And we could see a little bit of it against the Jaguars. We could see it against the Jets in the first game of the season. And we saw it also in the first half against the Giants. The inconsistency in the run game was real. Second half was better and the offense overall improved. But this Patriots defense, they have been good against the run. And I have some stats here, courtesy of our friend Anthony Proharska from Cover One. And this Pats run defense, Okay, they had 182 run defense snaps this year, the 50 most. All right, what makes the numbers even more impressive? They have a lot of runs against them and still produced really well. They are the third lowest EPA per attempt allowed, third lowest yards after contact per attempt allowed at 2.0, third lowest yards per attempt allowed at 3.4, third lowest first down percentage, lowest broken tackles and missing tackles percentage per attempt, tied second least amount of broken tackles, only have 5, tied second least amount of missed tackles, only have 4, 8 in DVOA versus the run, and 13th in stuff percentage. So that's uh, uh, clearly that's a top 3 defense against the run game in the league, despite facing really difficult situations, being put in difficult situations by an awful offense, right? They face the other teams running the ball a lot, and they still can stop it in a very good percentage of the time. So uh, this this run defense by the Patriots should pose some problems for the Bills offense, which is trying to rebound this week. And looking at their depth chart, they have a solid, nice rotation in the defensive line. We know Davon Gocho, Lawrence Guy; those are big guys who can big run stuffers. He can play. They can play really well against the run. Dietrich Wise. So those guys are doing a great job in the on the interior of this defensive line. They will make Mitch Morse, Osiris Torrance, Connor McGovern's lives tough. So the Bills will have the Bills' interior offensive line. We need to play at a high level to be able to consistently move those guys. Those guys are really good doing the dirty job in the interior, avoiding uh, big runs, hardly ever miss any tackles, and even the pair of interior linebackers by the Patriots, Jawan Bentley and Jalani Taivai, they are totally different linebackers from what we used with the Bills style of linebackers. They are bigger linebackers. They are the kind of the old school thumpers inside. So those guys hardly ever miss tackles. They do a great job avoiding people to gain yards after contact, and even they don't allow them to fall forward. So that's a tough interior to run on, and the Bills will need to, if they want to rebound offensively, if they want to have some rhythm offensively again, they will really need to be able to impose themselves there, and they will need to be able to run the ball efficiently. They won't be able to simply throw or air it out all the time, or even believe they don't need the run game to work properly this game. They will need the run game working nicely so they can have balance and the offense can get in rhythm again. Um, that's why I have my questions about this game offensively speaking. I really believe the Bills should be able to produce, but it's not like it's a piece of cake all around. It's not a totally broken defense. They have, in fact, been elite at one point, on point where the Bills have struggled or have been inconsistent, and that's the run game. So I'm looking forward to watching this matchup. I'm looking forward to see if the Bills can run against this tough defense, uh, at least at this department. And to be able to do so, we need big games by Morse, by Torrance, by McGovern. But also, I liked what Dorsey tried to do in the last game, and what he did with his running backs. He started running more Latavius Murray inside, more Damon Harris early, and we saw James Cook getting on the field just on the second, third drives. So to pound the rock, to run and gain those tough yards inside, using Murray and using Harris will be out, obviously, but using Latavius Murray, especially early on as a hammer, I really believe that's a smart way to use our running backs early on and to establish the run game inside, and then give James Cook opportunities on the perimeter, running outside the tackles and taking some check down passes, trying to gain yards after catch. So I think that's a good way of using those running backs. James Cook has been our running back one. I'm not questioning that, and I love him as our running back one. I think he has done a great job, but we've seen him doing better as the game goes on. We've seen him doing better as defenses start to get a little bit fatigued, especially on the defensive lines and the front seven. So as a hammer early on against this tough defense, I believe Latavius Murray has a role there, and we'll see. We'll see how Dorsey tries to attack this interior defensive line, and especially the front seven overall in the interior. They are tough. They are hard nosed. They can tackle. They can hit, and they aren't easy to push around. So that's why I really believe the Bills gotta be on point against the Patriots in the run game, so they can have any kind of success against this defense at this department. On the other side, passing, stopping the pass, uh, we know that those Patriots defense have been good overall over the years, right? They continue to be good despite the struggles of their team overall, of their offense. The defenses were what kept those teams always competitive. But this year they haven't been able to be so good against the pass. They lost their rookie cornerback due to injury for the season. Um, Christian Rodriguez, a good young cornerback who fell to them in the last draft, and they don't having anymore. Christian Gonzalez is already in the injured reserve. They brought back J.C. Jackson, hoping for a rebound for a guy who really played well for them. They hope they can recapture that form back in their schemes, but so far, not great returns. And they have a lot of questionable pieces in the secondary, right? Hey, Jonathan Jones is questionable, Kyle Duggar is questionable, Jabril Peppers, Sean Wade. So they have a lot of guys who are questionable in this game, but they have quality in this secondary. They have guys who can make plays. They just haven't done a lot of plays so far, and it's totally tied to the pass rush, obviously, where they have Matt Judon, one of the best pass rushers in the league, no doubt, and and so the dangers for the Bills there is maybe trying to put themselves in bad situations, not being able to run the ball, and needing to face this defense totally prepared against the pass, expecting the pass on third and long situations, second long situations. So they gotta avoid the penalties. They gotta avoid negative plays on early downs, and try to put this defense in a bad situation in clear passing downs where they haven't been able to punish opposing offenses with interceptions or a lot of playmaking from their good players. They only have two interceptions this season, one from Christian Gonzalez, who isn't there anymore, and one from Jailani Tavai, who was a mismatch uh, in our favor in this defense. So that was a tipped ball. So they haven't been able to cover really well and make plays on the ball all season long. So that's a game where our passing offense should be able to dominate, should be able to play well. We've seen Josh dominating the Patriots uh, recently. Actually, since 2020, Josh has great numbers against the Patriots. Numbers even better than his numbers against the Dolphins. So he has really dominated this opponent, and that's another great opportunity for Josh to keep having one of his best, if not his best season, stat wise overall since he entered the league. A lot of people wanted Josh being more careful, wanted Josh growing up, talked a lot about that about after the game against the New York Jets, and it seems that we've got this version of Josh since his struggles against the Jets, and now a lot of people want the old Josh back. So that's the dilemma. How good is our offense with under total under control Josh, who's having great decisions, making great decisions, not turning the ball over, but also limiting and having less of those amazing plays that we grew used to see with him. So the balance gotta be found by Dorsey, by Josh himself, and that's way easier said than done, no doubt. Well, the opportunities against this Patriots defense will be there, especially in the passing game. I think the Bills and Dorsey choose a path in the last game, and that's a path that most of Bills Mafia has been against, of featuring Stephon Diggs and throwing him the ball a lot. A lot of targets for Stephon Diggs last game. In the first quarter, he had already 10 targets, and by the game's end, he had 16 targets. And a lot of people were against it and saying, "Oh, the Bills' offense is better when it spreads the ball all over its weapons, and the Bills gotta do that. Josh gotta look at the other guys." Josh himself was interviewed, and when asked about it, he was clear about, look, when Stephon Diggs is the first read in the play, it's hard to not get him the ball because he always gets open. And to be honest, with the way the Bills' secondary weapons have been inconsistent, they haven't been bad, but they have been consistent. All right. Gabe Davis has a lot of touchdowns already, has some production already this season, but has he been consistent enough? I don't think so. I think Gabe continues to struggle sometimes with his hands. Right. I won't even talk about his fumble last game because I think it was really uh, by the time it happened, it was frustrating. But if you look at the play, he was really unlucky there because Okereke tried to punch the ball and even uh, hit Gabe Davis in the head before, on the head before hitting the ball, and it was a great play by Okereke. It could be discussed if it wasn't a foul with the way he hit Gabe's chin before going for the ball. It wasn't on purpose, but it happened. And so in the other games, we saw Gabe struggling again with some drops. We saw again Gabe is sometimes not being able to take advantage of 50-50 balls or not separating enough. And I'm not a Gabe Davis hater by any means. I love the guy. I think the potential is there. I like him as a deep threat. But as your number two option, being consistently good as your number two options, I think he struggles. He struggles a little bit, and he hasn't been able to establish himself as that dependable option behind Stephon Diggs, and that's problematic for this offense. Then Dawson Knox, same thing. Dawson Knox continues to struggle with his hands sometimes. He had the catch of the game against the Giants, the catch to close out that game to win the game for the Bills without any uh, any problems, any threats of the Giants driving down the field and scoring against the Bills. All he needed to do is catch that ball that he has. It was a long pass by Josh. It wasn't perfect. I agree, but come on, man, that pass was he could put the two hands on the ball. So that's a pass you starting tight end who's paid over 11 million dollars per year. That's a pass that your secondary or your third weapon on the offense gotta play, man. And he consistently doesn't make those plays. He consistently struggles with his hands, drops some passes that he shouldn't. Against the Jaguars, Gabe and Knox had drops on third downs that killed entire drives. And So I really believe the biggest problem of this Bills offense today, the biggest question mark isn't Ken Dorsey, it isn't Josh, obviously it isn't Diggs, or even the run game, who has been better, has been proved. The offensive line has been proved. The interior has played well. Osiris Torrance has been a champ by being McGovern, nice find in the free agency, not needing to break the bank to improve the guard positions was awesome by being. Spencer Brown has played well, has done a good job. Yes, the Bills still got a game plan and scheme things around him sometimes to help him, but he has been able to do a good job. Josh never has been better protected than what we've seen right now in his entire career. So I think the Bills found ways to stop some of those problems that have been uh, that have been have bothered them for quite some years now. And the only problem that hasn't really been fixed so far is the secondary weapon problems, in my opinion. I trust Stephon Diggs 100%. I trust Josh Allen 100%. I firmly believe we have the best quarterback in the league, not the second, not the third, but the best one. Um, I really believe Stephon Diggs is maybe all around the best wide receiver in the NFL. I think he's in the most dangerous, the most efficient, and that's Tyreek Hill. Obviously, he's been showing that his speed is totally on a whole nother level, that it changes the way people can defend that Dolphins offense. So that's probably the most feared weapon in the league right now. But if you consider everything, route running, hands, release, I believe Diggs has it all. He's a top three guy uh, at the wide receiver position, and we have so the best quarterback, one of the best pass catchers in the league, a solid a solid run game, a solid offensive line protecting the quarterback, protecting open some holes for the run game. But our secondary weapons, man, those guys have been consistent. They gotta be better. They gotta be more dependable, more consistent. There is a reason for the Bills in the last game going and Dorsey and Allen, especially Allen, because obviously he has he gotta read the routes and make the decisions. But the primary target is established by the play design, and Diggs normally is this guy. And why did Dorsey call so many plays with Diggs as the number one target? Because that's the only guy that they can 100% trust right now. They can trust he will catch the ball. They can trust he will separate against man or against zone. And don't forget, that's a guy who voiced his opinion a lot during all of season. He's being better during the season, but still here and there we can see some reactions by Diggs. We can see him talking to Josh a lot on the sidelines. I really believe um, he's being more vocal also on the offensive meetings, on the game planning, talking to Dorsey. And when your wide receiver or number one target has voiced so many times his opinion about needing the ball, wanting more catches, more targets, more opportunities to make plays, it impacts the way your offensive coordinator will act, the way your quarterback plays, and we've seen it happening. And we've seen Dorsey and Allen giving him the ball, and overall Diggs does his part of the job, and I'm not against it. I'm not. I 100% in favor of Josh and Dorsey, especially game planning and having Diggs as the number one weapon and featuring him, giving him all the opportunities to impact the game, because I think it helps the offense to get going. Even if the start of the games we can see some difficulties due to trying to go after Diggs all the time, I think it's all along the game. It creates a good impact on this offense. It makes the defense who in the start of the games already have a special tension. They already have a game plan to try limiting Stephon Diggs, but it makes them commit to stopping Stephon Diggs more and more as the game goes on. And when they need to commit so much to one guy on your offense and on your passing game, I really believe it makes the other guys' lives easier. And these Bills' secondary weapons on the passing game, they need all the help possible because they haven't been able to take over, to win their matchups consistently, to be consistently good, consistently dominant, consistently dependable, so Josh can trust them all the time. So I all in featuring Stephon Diggs. I think it's on Josh again. It's easier said than done to Josh really realize when it's the time to move on quickly from Diggs and when it isn't. How long he should feed Stephon Diggs, keep going on him, and when he got a switch to okay, now they are keying way too much on Diggs. That's time to switch and to look quickly to the other guys. They are getting open. We could see Shakir running free on a mesh concept in the last game. We could see some in other games, Kincaid sometimes running free in the middle of the field. So there are some opportunities there. Uh, but Josh has Diggs. Josh and Dorsey, obviously, they have Diggs as the number one target. I think rightfully so, and they gotta keep feeding the star wide receiver, no doubt. But they, Josh, gotta start to be able to make those decisions in game and see when it's time to spread the ball and really move on to his other targets and try to give those guys opportunities. And it's also time for somebody to step up and start to take advantage of this all this attention given to Stephon Diggs. One of the guys that have has had an increased role week by week is Khalil Shakir. Shakir played almost 40% of the snaps last game. Obviously, it was a game that we had no Kincaid being a factor in the slot, but Shakir played just 10% of the snaps in week one. It increased to 15 week two, 24% week three, 28 week four, 32 week five, and 39 week six. So I think it's fair and reasonable to get to the point where we assume Shakir's winning snaps over Deontay Hardy. He's winning snaps over Trent Sherfield, and he's done so blocking. He's according to Pro Football Focus, Khalil Shakir has been the best wide receiver in run blocking in the league so far. So I know it's not sexy, it's not something that fans love to see from a wide receiver, but coaches really value that. The Bills, the Bills have run the ball really well out of 11 personnel with only one tight end. They have run the ball better out of 11 personnel than out of 12 personnel with Knox and Kincaid out there. The reason for being able to run the ball so well in those 11 personnel, the biggest reason maybe is how Shakir has blocked in those packages. And that's why he has earned more snaps. If he can start to take advantage of his pass catching abilities and of the passes thrown his way, that's a guy who can have an increased role in this offense going forward. And I really believe he has potential doing so. That's a guy who has some speed, has some yards after catch ability. So Shakir might be one of the key pieces in this offense going forward if they want to be more consistent. And this game against the Patriots will be huge for him because I already talked about the Patriots defense stopping the run, but there is another point where the Patriots defense really uh, does very well, and that's one of the Bill Belichick characteristics. It has been one of the Bill Belichick characteristics for a long time now. So, Bills Mafia, what characteristic has been this one? The idea of taking away your number one option and trying to make other people beat you. Uh, the, we know Bill Belichick has done it for a long time now, uh, and he will try to do it again against the Bills, especially coming from a game where the Bills tried so hard to feature Stephon Diggs in this passing game. And the thing is, uh, the Patriots defense has been really, really good trying to take away those number one options. Okay, they have been the top-notch defense in the NFL, taking away the number one option. The problem for the Patriots defense is that other than taking away the number one option, they have really struggled taking away the secondary weapons, all the other weapons of their opponents, right? And that's what has killed that defense, because all the other guys are being able to do a lot of damage against the Patriots. So uh, I'm looking forward to this matchup because, and I really believe the Bills Mafia, who are, oh, the Bills got to spread the ball around more. They can't just throw at Diggs, and yeah, obviously they can't just throw at Diggs, but these people will get a little bit of relief. They will be relived a little bit more after this Patriots game, in my opinion, because the Bills will need to hit those secondary receivers, especially against the Patriots. Bill Belichick will find ways to bracket, to double, to triple team Diggs all game long, and the Bills will be forced to try other guys. The good news are that the Patriots are really in problem with their secondary guys banged up, and they won't have got enough guys to do an amazing job against Diggs and not allow the Bills secondary weapons to do some damage. So I feel like I've been talking about this for some weeks now. I feel like I've been on record maybe for the last 2 or 3 weeks saying this might be Dalton Kincaid. Welcome to the Dalton Kincaid show moment, right? For Dalton Kincaid giving Bills Mafia this moment. He obviously, it wasn't against the Jags. Obviously, he didn't play last week. Coming back this week against this Patriots defense, their linebackers aren't good in coverage. Simply put, they can't cover. They can't keep up with Kincaid. Kincaid is a huge mismatch against those linebackers. The secondary is depleted by injuries. Guys are questionable, and we don't know how many of them will be able to play and how well they will be able to play being banged up. And that might be, with all the attention turned to Stephon Diggs, that might be a maybe the best opportunity for Kincaid so far this year to produce and to establish himself as the secondary weapon to Josh Allen, as the number 2 wide receiver for Josh Allen in this offense. He is my hope. Okay, I believe Gabe Davis is who he is. Guys can improve. We know Gabe Davis works extremely hard, but during season it's hard to get better. And I believe Gabe Davis is a really, really, really good number 3 option. A really good guy who is stretching the field, making some plays as a deep threat, making some plays on those comeback routes, threatening the defense with his speed downfield. Um, a good option to Josh Allen in the red zone, but as a third option, a guy who doesn't get so many attention, who doesn't line up against the best or the second best cornerback of opposing teams, a guy who's better when he doesn't get all that attention that he's getting right now as the number 2. And my hope to move Gabe back to this role, because he was in this role when we had Diggs and we had Cole Beasley in this slot. Beasley wasn't a starter, but he was the number 2, in fact, of this offense. He was the second guy with more targets, the second guy with more receptions. He was the guy who, maybe the number 1 guy on third down for Josh Allen to move the chains. And Kincaid can become this guy. He can play this role. He can be a bigger version than Beasley. And talking Beasley got released by the Giants. He asked to be released today by the Giants, and he got his wish. And I already see some people, some Bills Mafia, talking on Twitter about a possible reunion with Beasley. And to be honest, I wouldn't be against it. I know Bees talks bad stuff about the Bills, about the coaching staff, throws shade at them sometimes when he every time he leaves the team, every time the team chooses to move forward without him. But I wouldn't be against bringing him back this time again, not to be this guy again, not to be the old Cole Beasley, but so he could mentor Kincaid. I don't know if he's up to that. I don't know if he would take that. He asked for a release for a reason. He might uh, believe he has an opportunity in another place. But the Bills might be a possibility because if you're gonna be on the practice squad all year long, not play, oh man, you way better be on the Bills squad and part of a big time playoff run and Super Bowl contention than on the Giants squad, right? So I'd like to add Biz back to become this kind of mentor to Kincaid. I believe he could be impactful this way. It's not like we haven't seen the Bills doing so with other players. AJ Klein is back on the fold. Um, Even Norman is back on the fold as a mentor. And I believe they could use Biz the same way as Norman, a smart guy on the wide receiver room, helping the guys to get better. McDermott already called out the not Dorsey, but everybody to find who's the number two, who's the number three, and move on to establish some consistency on that department. And I really believe this can help Kincaid to become this guy in the middle of the field. So that's why I'd bring him back on the practice squad if he's up to. And after Kincaid, I don't know, man. I don't know. Shakir maybe as a guy who can be an X factor. Um, Deontay Hardy has been frustrating, in my opinion. I know he has some plays. He has had some plays here and there, but he just doesn't strike me as the guy who was sold to us. You know, he doesn't look faster than McKenzie. He doesn't look shiftier than McKenzie. He certainly looks safer than McKenzie. He hasn't dropped punts, muffed punts. He hasn't dropped passes. He hasn't fumbled the ball, but he hasn't been more electric or he hasn't had a bigger impact than McKenzie on the offense so far. And he might deserve more looks and more opportunities, but he has had really few snaps on the offense, what shows he's become that McKenzie role from years ago as a gadget guy. And Sherfield, man, Sherfield was really good for the Dolphins, but he was the guy who was really doing nice things during off season, but in game so far for the Bills, we haven't seen also. Those guys, it's not like they are having a lot of opportunities, but they are losing snaps to Shakir. And so I really put Shakir ahead of them in the pecking order right now, in the chances of impacting and becoming nice, dependable options after Diggs in the passing game. And also Knox, that's my opinion about Knox is the same as Gabe Davis. I like both of those guys, but Knox is inconsistent with his hands. He's better after catch than in contested catch situations. And awesome blocker, is blocking really well, athletic, can punish guys after the catch. But he's not that guy who will win some contested catches, who will run some seam routes and be a dependable target for Josh. So Kincaid must become this guy, and I can definitely live with Knox as a fourth option in this offense, but no hope for him to become the number two option, a guy who out of nothing starts to catch a lot of passes and have a huge impact in this offense. I don't see that. honestly. So that's the $1 million question for Dorsey, for the Bills offense. Who are the guys who are going to step up and become more dependable, being able to produce more and to to help Diggs and Josh to not carry all the weight in this offense. And this game against the Patriots is the totally ideal scenario for one of those guys to step up. That's why I have big hopes for Kincaid, because that's a defense who won't allow you to run the ball easily, and that's a defense who will try hard and always do a good job taking away your number one option, and that's Stephon Diggs, obviously. The Bills will try to feed Diggs, and I'm okay with that, but I have no doubts in my mind that Josh and Dorsey, they will be ready to move on to the second, third targets as soon as they realize the Pets are really trying to take away Diggs, and the opportunities will be there. The Bills will need to pass the ball a lot against this Patriots defense, and the opportunities will be there for Shakir, for Kincaid, Knox, Gabe, all those guys, Hardy, Sherfield. I don't know who will get more snaps. So far, the Bills have rotated. In the last game, Shakir has had more opportunities than Hardy and Sherfield. So somebody else gotta make plays, gotta step up, and I'm anxious to see in this game who's the guy who's gonna do that. I think the possibility is real, and maybe the guy who can do that against the Patriots can really get in rhythm and become a factor for the rest of the year. With the trade deadline arriving, a lot of people has talked about trade possibilities, and wide receiver has been the position to go so far. Yes, there has been some talk about King Henry maybe at running back, but and especially if Damon Harris being injured, maybe uh, a slot has opened for this kind of power back. I simply don't see it happening. I think Cook has done a great job. The investment was made on James Cook, second round pick. He has improved. He has played well this season. He has established himself as the number one guy. And I don't see the trading for a guy like Henry and kind of blocking James Cook road down down the road. But and even Latavius Murray, he has done a great job so far. But at wide receiver position, with Devontae Adams being available, maybe I'm not so sure how available he is, because the Raiders are 50-50 right now, right? They are 50% team right now, and they have some favorable matchups going forward. That's a team who can enter playoff contention in the AFC. So not so sure. Devontae Adams surely has increased, bothered by the lack of opportunities at this offense. But if he's available, it would be awesome to add Devontae Adams. Obviously, I saw some people throwing some trades out there, like sending a second round pick, Gabe Davis for Devontae Adams. I would do that any day of the week and twice on Sundays, man. That's a guy who, imagine having another weapon like Devontae Adams alongside Diggs and Josh. They would be unstoppable on that passing game. Um, I'm a little bit afraid that Devontae Adams is the kind of target that can take a lot of targets out of Diggs, and Diggs might become a little uneasy with this situation, and that's why he might not be the ideal guy. But a guy who I wanted badly, and I'm on record, my tweet is still out there. I never delete my tweets. I always say that the old tweets against picking Josh Allen and the tweets about all the frustration I had when Josh was picked. I will never delete that. I will never erase that, because I was wrong, and it happens, man. Even the best general managers make mistakes. Imagine myself, right? But I have the opinion that Bean would really regret not bringing DeAndre Hopkins on this team, because I felt like that was the ideal number two option for this offense. So it seems DeAndre Hopkins might be a possibility again with the Titans not winning many games, struggling with Ryan Tannehill is now playing badly, now injured, and the Bills would be able to trade for DeAndre Hopkins and might not pay a huge price, making the Titans to eat some of that money in their deal with Hopkins and making things easier to the Bills to bring him on. I'd love to add Nook, man. I think Hopkins at some point was a star like Devante Adams, but he isn't anymore. I think right now he's still really, really good. I think he can be very successful in this Bills offense. Even if he's getting older, it's not like he's losing his hands. It's not like he's losing his wingspan, right? It's not like he's losing his contested catch ability. So that's a guy who, if you give him some one-on-one opportunities and bring all the coverage, all the brackets, all the double teams to Diggs and let him face some defensive backs one-on-one, he will win, man. He will win a lot those contested catches with his awesome hands. So I'd love to bring DeAndre Hopkins in, no doubt. I'd trade for him and bring him home. I think he could unlock this offense going forward, make it better. Um, Again, if you can, I believe you can trade for him and keep Gabe for this year. Gabe would again be in his best situation as the third option, and he would be able to produce. Imagine with all the tension given to Diggs, given to Hopkins, Kincaid in the middle of field. Gabe Davis would have great opportunities in this situation, this scenario for this season. And obviously, it's a one-year scenario because the Bills will be forced to make some decisions going forward. But man, if you have Diggs and Nuck, life for other guys would be way, way, way easier, and they could even Kincaid, who's gonna develop and he's gonna become number two target, even maybe number one down the road when in 5 years when Diggs is old and maybe out of the picture. So um, I'd bring Nook, no doubt. I'd bring Adams, but prefer the Andrew Hopkins actually because of the price, the cost benefit, the role in this offense, and other guys were thrown around like Judy. Jerry Judy was one. I've seen Hunter Renfro, another one, but I don't know, man. I don't know if the price for those guys and if they really move the needle, with needing to adjust to this offense in season. They really aren't as talented as Hopkins and Adams. So those two guys are the guys who I have my eyes on, Adams and the other Hopkins. Hopkins, my number one because of the price cost benefit. I think he could really improve and make this offense better as soon as he steps on the field. If it doesn't happen, and I really don't believe Bean will make any of those trades, he had the opportunity in the offseason. It's true that maybe he sees how Sheffield, how Hardy have worked so far, or how they haven't worked so far, and maybe it changes his mind and bring another weapon. But I think the Bills will need Kincaid or one of the other guys to step up, become major factors in this offense. And I'm also not against going this route because a lot of people want the Bills, like the Giants game. It was necessary to have a great game, win that game by a lot, and reestablish themselves as a powerhouse in the AFC. And it didn't happen, and everybody was worried. And now again, oh, that's this Patriots game. This game, the Bills gotta kill them, gotta play awesome football, score a lot, play like the best team in football. And I'm actually not like this, I'm fine with what the Bills have been through during this season. I think we've seen in the past the Bills playing their best football early in the season, and we know how it ended. We know how it ended in the 13 seconds, unfortunately, on the defensive side of the ball because the offense did all they could there. We saw how it ended last season, both sides of the ball, but this time a little bit more on the offensive side of the ball, and how the Bills couldn't deliver when it was really needed. So I'm not really scared or really worried right now that the Bills aren't playing the best football ever right now. They have been playing way better than most people give them credit for. A lot of the biggest metrics and statistics show that. I know statistics don't show everything, okay? It's not baseball. But when a lot, and I mean a lot, EPA, DVOA, a lot of the advanced statistics, a lot of the raw statistics, a lot of the things, and even the eye test, because we have in mind the last two games, but the other games against the only team that was below 50% was the Giants. All the others are 50% or over, and the Bills have dominated them, scored a lot, win easily the games. So I really believe the Bills are playing way better than the Bills Mafia gives them credit for. Yes, there were some struggles offensively against the Jags, and I believe those drops by Knox, by Kincaid, the inconsistency in the secondary weapons were a major part on that. We saw Dorsey, who's being very criticized. A lot of people criticize Dorsey, but they can't point who are the coordinators who would do a better job right now. And Dorsey, for the last game, he did all that everybody wanted. Everybody wanted more play action. He had more play action. Everybody wanted more under center. He had more under center stuff. In fact, those were the games where the Bills run more plays out of under center and more play action plays. And unfortunately, early on they didn't have any rhythm, and there were those trip plays, those plays where the guys were tripped, and they weren't fouls due to the rule, but they were plays that killed the drives and plays that could keep those early drives going on and the rhythm starting to come. And those two drives could have changed the way the Bills offense would have played that game. And we saw in the second half the team adjusting and playing better. Just like I said, three drives, two touchdowns, one field goal missed, but one field goal in position to kick a field goal. So they did their job in the second half. They just got to keep doing it going forward and keep improving and keep finding answers and maybe finding who's the guy who's going to step up and become this great second weapon for Josh, third weapon in this offense. I think those are the question marks right now, and I think the regular season for the Bills, it is for developing and finding those answers, right? I think the Bills should do that. We have criticized McDermott in the past for not playing rookies, for not giving guys snaps so they can develop. And now Kincaid, Hardy, Shakir, those guys are getting some snaps, so they might become what we need down the road. So I'm fine going this direction. I'm fine being patient right now. I'm fine watching the Bills not playing at the level that we know they can be right now, because I really believe the goal, man, is to get to the playoffs as healthy as possible and give your best shot there and be ready for that point. We could see that the Bills so far, they haven't run Josh, right? They have made a huge point in this offense to not run the ball with Josh anymore. I believe it will be unleashed by playoff times when you got to win the games. And that's something that the Bills will have to surprise some people, because they won't have tape on that from this year at least. Even with the rotations, even if we go to the defensive side of the ball, Von Miller was back he's been back in the last couple of weeks, but the Bills have respected his snaps, his snap counts, his in this comeback, and more proof than having Kingsley Jonathan playing the two most important plays of the game in the last game against the Giants. The Giants were right in front of the end zone, ready to score and win the game, and the Bills had Kingsley Jonathan playing defensive end, a guy who played just 5 snaps. Why not insert Von Miller in that situation? Why not insert AJ Peneza, who's been playing great there? Not that Kingsley Jonathan hasn't played great, but there is a reason he had only 5 snaps in this game. And the Bills they stick to their plan. They are sticking to their plan no matter what. It shows a lot about this coaching staff confidence in this team making the playoffs naturally. I know there are people who are saying, "Oh, if the Bills don't improve, they won't make the playoffs." I don't believe the coaching staff at One Bills Drive thinks like this, and the players thinks like this. I think they believe they are a Super Bowl contender. I think they believe they are an AFC contender, one of the top ones, and they are naturally making the playoffs because that's how good they are. Okay, obviously they gotta get in the field, work hard, play, beat opponents, but they trust this team. They trust their pieces to the point of Kingsley Jonathan being on the field for the most important play of the game, and not Von Miller and not AJ Peneza in that situation, or Czech Lawson wasn't playing, but uh, anyway. So they are sticking to the plan, and they have a plan. And the old trust the process, it's still alive. The Bills Mafia gotta still trust the process. And if the Bills aren't good enough to make the playoffs, then maybe it's better that they don't make the playoffs instead of making the playoffs and losing again, just like we lost last season. Then maybe it's better to be out of the playoffs and get a better pick and start to making the necessary moves to retool the roster or the coaching staff or whatever. But they don't believe they are this kind of team. They believe they are ready to compete to win, and that's why they are sticking to the plan, and they are winning more games than losing. They are having some difficulties, but naturally they should be solved. Just like Spencer Brown started to play a little bit better, and the offensive line, who was the biggest problem in this offense when the season started, it isn't anymore. Maybe these secondary weapons also can die as the season progresses, and we can get to the playoffs way more confident about Shakir being able to making plays, Knox, Gabe, and especially Kincaid, who has the most potential to doing so. So that's the way Bills Mafia see the this matchup against the Patriots, a matchup that the Bills have all the opportunities to start figuring out the secondary weapons on the passing game. They won't be able to run the ball as easily or as consistently as they did against weaker opponents in this department. And I didn't even focus on the Patriots' offensive side of the ball because they have been really, really bad on the offensive side of the ball. Um, Mac Jones has played really bad. It's not like he's the major problem from this offense. This offense has been bad. Hamondre Stevenson is dangerous running back, but the Bills has played well against the run. They have shown that they can stop opposing run games. According to Hansel at Uber Hansen, who's been here with us from Cover One, uh, he had some Mac Jones stats, and so far they look awful, man. Those stats are really down this year. He has been the 31st out of 32 quarterbacks in QBER, right? Uh, that's 935 out of 960 quarterbacks in the NFL since 1994. That number is comparable to Jimmy Clausen in 2010 and Brandon Whedon in 2013. So those two guys who the teams moved on right after the season. So that's been a bad season by Mac Jones. They have a nice running back. Their offensive line have struggled. Those lines have been so consistent for the Patriots. They have struggled on the offensive line, and they haven't been able to be that power run game team, play action team. They have Hunter Henry and Gesicki. What should have made them a team dangerous like the Bills out of play action, pounding the rock and running play action. But it hasn't happened. They can't do that. They can't get those balls on Gesicki and Hunter Henry's hands and make them have a big impact. So even with all the injuries the Bills has had, I think the Bills should dominate that Patriots offense. The Bills defense should be able to hold down that offense to a long score, just like they did against the Giants. They did against a great job against the Jaguars, who were way more dangerous than this Patriots defense, offense. Sorry. So, in my opinion, the matchup is all about Bills offense against Patriots defense, and again, run game won't be easy. Diggs might face a lot of different brackets and double, triple coverage. How about our secondary weapons? Will they be able to finally start having an increasing impact on the way the Bills play and the products and the way the Bills produces and and, and beat opponents? That's the right opportunity to start doing so, man. So that's the way I see this matchup against the Patriots. Let me know in comments if you agree, disagree. Bring on your takes. Always a pleasure to interact with you. Hit that like button, subscribe to Buffalo Rumblings. This episode of Leading the Chart is also available in all the podcast aggregators, the major ones, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Always available there. I really appreciate every download and play there, every view, every like, and subscribe here in Buffalo Rumblings channel and also on my own Fernando Schmude channel. Really appreciate you taking your time to join me today in this Bills Patriots preview. Leading the Charge will be back on Sunday with a post-game show totally in Portuguese for Brazilian Bills Mafia, Latin America Bills Mafia, Portuguese-speaking countries. And thank you so much for joining me. Score prediction. I think the Bills finally starts to score more points again. I think they got back on track. I think the Patriots will try to take away the big plays and they will need to be patient, but at some point the Bills should be able to take advantage of some favorable matchups with maybe Gabe Davis, Kincaid. So I believe it's a 28-10 win for the Buffalo Bills. See you around, Bills Mafia. Thank you so much. Next Sunday, another Leading the Charge, totally Portuguese here at Buffalo Rumblings. Take care. See you around. Go Bills.